Indian SaaS companies, for obvious reasons, want to target US, right? And want to set up their GTM in US and want to scale, right? There are certain clients who want to first, probably create a revenue source in the Indian market because comparatively it is easier. But then effectively they want to enter the US market. I've seen almost 95% companies struggle and fail during the US demand, right? Is there anything different that, anything that you can share with us that someone should, as a founder of an early stage company or a head of marketing of an early stage company, trying to establish in the US? What is that, a couple of things that they should really, really focus on?
Yeah, got it. I think you'd be understating that. I think pretty much every SaaS company is targeting US. Like, I'm always surprised when I see a SaaS company that says that, okay, we're focusing only on India. Okay.
India.
And I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. Um, but I think for me, I've never looked at any geography when marketing, because I think, like, in my opinion, it's impossible to focus your marketing of efforts on a particular geography, right? Like, you can't control where your website traffic will come from, right? Like, when you
Right.
do your search, you can't focus that, okay, I'm just gonna get US, right? Or I'm just gonna get all of this, right? Like, there are certain things you can do, but like largely it's out of your control, right? So what I instead do is I focus on the persona, right? And basically just try to
Amazing.
do a good job at serving them. And I think one of the big things where Indian SaaS companies can really crack the US GTMS first is do things better than their US counterparts. Okay, like that's probably like rule number one, which is where most Indian SaaS companies fail, right? They're doing things, but they're not at the same level at
Yeah.
the US counterparts, right?
Right.
That basically means maybe creating a better piece of content or doing a better podcast or
Agreed. Agreed.
creating better demand than the US
Yeah.
counterparts, right? Or creating more noise than the US counterparts, right? Like,
Right.
this is, I think this is something that we need to understand, that if we need to reach that market and beyond, we ourselves have to become better
Yeah.
at things, right?
Yeah.
Then I think the other thing that I always tend to do is I talk to a lot of folks in that geography, right?
Hmm.
And understand the terminology, kind of immerse yourself in the culture.
Right.
So if you start having those, conversations with them, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you start to understand that there are certain perhaps sales terms that might be slightly different in the US than
Agreed.
what is used in India or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Even I feel like I think the gaps are much narrower now, right? Like pretty much we're all kind of the same, but you start
Exactly.
understanding that there are certain trends that you just tend to see. Like, for example, in the US, there's a lot of focus on automation, right? Because
Yeah.
talent is so expensive. But in
Yeah.
India, it's not the case, right? So
Yeah.
now that's a topic that can be explored in detail, and that would relatively attract a lot more US folks than Indian
Yeah.
folks, because in India it's like, okay, let's just hire another person, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's more, I would say, yeah, like these two things, right? Like, just do it better than the US counterparts, and then the other is just perhaps talk to a lot of folks in that market, start understanding them, behaving like them. I think you'll get there. But I think at the crux of it, it's more like, if it just has to be that you just have to do a good job at serving the ICP and do it better than anybody else. And I think
Got it.
you'll reach the right kind of geography.